Okay, in this video, I want to be a little bit more specific about the substitutes, and I also want to talk a little bit about triggers. And I can't promise it's how it was in my personal experience, and I don't see any reason why it should not be for you. But that promise will come a little bit later. First of all, I want to talk about normal triggers. Now, in my last video, I talked about as long as you have nicotine chewing gum. I used that as an example because that's what I succeeded with. You might be surprised you don't really have cravings. I have to admit, I don't remember actually not having chewing gum in my mouth. So, but I don't really think that's even close to being dangerous in comparison being a heavy smoker. But triggers, as maybe you're in the stage now, you don't really know how you're going to react. So I'm going to try to take focus or use an example in the normal triggers for people going cold turkey. I've tried that as well, of course, as you know. Let's see, what are triggers? What are most known triggers? You probably tried stop smoking before. Alcohol is not a good idea for people stopping smoking. I don't really know. Of course, you don't exactly get smarter, except one friend of mine. He is Norwegian and don't speak any other languages. But if you give him a bottle of whiskey, he speaks fluently Scottish. I think it has to do with your judgment. Yeah, I don't need to explain why alcohol is not a good idea. So I'm going to move on to a personal trigger I experienced, not on nicotine substitutes, but on when I was going cold turkey, which would later fail. But one thing that always, messed with my mind was when I saw old people smoking. That gave a little room for my addiction snake to ask me, man, he or she is like maybe 85 and smoking. I'm not so bad. And if you're not even half that age, so if you smoke maybe one more year, I don't think it really will matter. You can have time to plan it out more, be more prepared. I can't imagine. I don't know how I haven't really heard it, other people talking about that specific example as a trigger, but it was for me. um, you hear, honestly, I've joked about it in previous videos. The videos where I was very focused on, if you can put it this way, when I spoke directly to your addiction and asked your addiction questions and listened to this normal arguments about what you feared about, what you would think would be the most difficult parts. And when I hear stuff as such as weight gain, okay, if you really think you're going to be fat by stopping smoking, may I ask why you think that? Because I have to me, I don't understand, but I just want to maybe. I really don't think you can make me understand, but I think I can maybe make you understand. I don't mean to sound arrogant either. I just want to take up that specific. That's a very normal thing. Not normal. It's very not normal in my ears, but I am not very normal as well. So I don't know what's what. If you start smoking and you gain a lot of weight, let's take a look at that hypothetical scenario. Would you think that cigarettes? Have you, for example, ever heard of people suffering from overweight being advised to start smoking in any setting? Because one thing I can say is that you might weight gain because you're eating like comfort eating while you are stopping smoking, and not necessarily healthy food. Right now, I'm like a mix of questioning and answering because I try to focus on a fundamental. And the thing is, if you gain weight by stopping smoking, and in worst case scenario, if that happens, and probably won't be much, I refuse seeing you. Imagine seeing you. It's not possible for me seeing you as a man or a woman, normally normal weighted, but one day just unrecognizable overweight because you stop smoking, and then I understand. Have you heard or experienced that? I haven't. So if you're gaining weight, remember, I'm keeping it cold turkey in this example. I'm not using cold turkey in my channel as an approach, and I am focused on harm reduction. And these are things I might say are things I did not experience, the triggers and such, with substitutes. And I'm just now I'm talking in general about stopping smoking and triggers. What else? Coffee. If you're smoking and coffee and cigarettes, they are best friends. They are very connected. Yes, I would definitely be careful with coffee. One, because it, it's not the same. It's a reminder what you don't have. So, and I think your system has lower tolerance for caffeine, but I cannot say that for sure. But still, this is important. I would definitely not stop drinking coffee. Coffee withdrawal is underestimated big time, especially in my case. If you drink much coffee, so cold turkey, I would just wash it down, but I would not stop drinking coffee because I stopped drinking cigarettes. That sounds like a bad cocktail. When you stop too much at once, you usually fall back eventually. But just wash it down. Okay. Other triggers are that I've heard of. I don't know if you can consider it a trigger. You hear about what I'm going to do in social settings if I don't smoke. Well, does that mean if you want to smoke in social settings, or does it mean that you are not giving the same to the group, which is in reality passive smoking? I'm having problems understanding that too. That's why I do need to have something in your, like something polluting the people you're in a social setting with. Maybe you can, for example, if you for example, if you have a car, then you can maybe park your car close to the friends you're going to. Let's say they're outside, and you can just let the engine running. That will be somewhat the same logic, but I can see that if you're okay, I'm gonna make it simple. If you're in cold turkey situations, or as well, this goes for with substitutes as well. Every situation you associate smoking with is a potential trigger situation. If you have that mentality, it's a little bit better than me sharing cold turkey mixed with and substitutes and personal experiences. little one-way question and answer video. It doesn't really. Okay, consider it reflections. Now, I want to tell you something very cool. And I want to also make it very clear about the safety instructions, if you will, when you use nicotine chewing gums. If you, as I hope, and I see no reason why not, like I said, break the code and understand that my body doesn't want cigarettes when there's no logic, that will give your mind peace. You will feel like something is different, but it will be okay. You will be functional. And what is very cool about, because you might think, okay, you have the urge, like the first week, for example, because even if I'm talking to you with a recipe based on harm reduction with substitutes, you are probably still thinking it will be like the last time you tried to stop. A part of you probably thinks like that. That's natural. You probably still imagine things like a person going cold turkey, which is okay, but it shouldn't happen. Not because I say so, because I, as a heavy smoker for over 30 years, experienced it. And it was a miracle. It was about awareness and stay on track. You will, I think, about I do not want to sound like these manic people in the videos that don't work. Like, the fact is, of course, you will, if you experience exactly what I did, the worst moment is, this is from my personal experience, I promise, the stage before the preparation stage, because that's when you imagine all sorts of shit which will not happen, or it will be extremely much easier than you imagine. So that's a the time you're preparing, you don't want to drag that out, because that drains your energy. It is necessary, but don't overdo it. Set a date, because the milestone, that's very important. So the milestone in my case, and in many cases, is the first morning. I wake up, I think, okay, this is the day of no more cigarettes. You get that chewing gum in fast. You give it time. And you realize, try to take the chewing gum, don't get up, lay back down, and think, I want my cigarette. You're watching, you think, close your eyes, and ask yourself 10 minutes after. I have said this before, but I just want to repeat it in case you're actually watching the videos. I want it to be thorough. You ask yourself again, do I want that morning cigarette as much as I wanted it 10 minutes ago? If you say yes, congratulations. Now, because that's the thing. But it will get easier because the more you experience that, you will ask that questions many times because maybe it's too good to be true. And when you realize, okay, this is it. This is stop smoking. I've literally stopped smoking, and now I'm not smoking. I'm using nicotine chewing gum. You say that to yourself a few times. You're waiting for maybe a lightning that never comes. Now that sounds, if that's how you're experiencing it, that's how I experienced it. So the question is really how much time you need to understand that the chewing gum provides your body with uh, nicotine. And yes, you are addicted to nicotine, but you are smoke-free. So, seen in a light of health, you have made a tremendously big step towards better health. Your body with nicotine chewing gum is so grateful. That cannot be denied. I want to uh, uh, make a short statement about cold turkey. I've been reflecting on the last few days, and because yes, it's fantastic. Absolutely no, I'm not warning against cold turkey, but it has a but. it's it's easy to think, okay, cold turkey means you're stopping and you're going through different phases, and with time things will get better. And I will, if you cope. I can't say much more than that because people are different. But I can give you a few reflections. Many people would say if you don't use substitutes, because then you haven't really stopped smoking. And as I often joke about, I say I've never smoked a chewing gum in my life. So that is bullshit. You have to understand that. Because if you believe it's even close to smoking, because you're maintaining an addiction of nicotine, but not smoking, you're now chewing nicotine chewing gums. If you believe I'm considered, you might somehow fall off into a bad road and think maybe you don't have the focus which I'm urging you to have with nicotine chewing gums. You have to have them. That's not a joke. If you one day think you can manage, it's so easy with nicotine chewing gums. And one day I'm almost out, but I have normal chewing gums. It's probably going to be okay. That's a price. That's not going to work. That's going to mess with your mind, and you might relapse. And that happened to me once after 2 years. The thing is, that's the price of saving your health this way. But don't listen to people saying you're still smoking. No, you're saving yourself from cigarettes by taking one little part of the cigarettes, which isn't really that toxic. Many thousand different chemicals in a cigarette. You're taking it in a pure form. And if that's not better than smoking, you have to. I'm trying to make you aware of what's what, because I see like a trend. There's almost nobody talking about harm reduction, which I focus on. And I'm going to try to explain it because sometimes it may be someone out there thinking I'm marketing harm reduction or nicotine chewing gum, or maybe I get paid by some company. No. Ask the algorithms. Okay, think about this. If you disagree, you disagree. I realized I saw a pattern. I'm famous for it. Talking a lot to try to get to a point, and people fall off very often. Say I can never get to the point, or blah blah blah, and I get frustrated because I don't get to the point because they fall off, and they say I fall off, and that's cold turkey can be deadly. I will say it again. Cold turkey can be deadly. And maybe I am the first and only person who ever say that to you. Why? Okay. Many people are hardcore smokers. They have tried absolutely everything, but their addiction sits so to the core, and they try, maybe thousands of times. And I'm pretty sure there is a chance you might even know at least one smoker who consider stop smoking not an option, as something I given up a long time ago. Or they will usually say, or normally they will just make a lighter statement like joke it away, but they probably have tried cold turkey so many times that they have used their quota mentally, meaning they have this all or nothing mentality, and they don't fall back on substitutes, which I am focused on in my channel. They fall back on smoking, and they accept to a certain degree they will smoke the rest of their lives. Being a no smoker is becoming a distant dream, but for them personally, it's not no longer possible. That's a consequence of repeated failed attempts, trying, failing. So we again think about harm reduction as an option, and see it on the side of cold turkey. So they both have um, pros and cons. You can always say to a person failing cold turkey 2000, 3000, no matter what, uh, you will make it. What else are you going to say? One day you're going to fix that. But now I'm talking about how they come to the conclusion that's a distant dream. It won't apply to them anymore. It's a different language. And many people have probably made this I will smoke forever decision, if I can call it that. Hence, closed all stop smoking possibilities. Maybe decades ago. So I'm sticking to my harm reduction. Strategy about the very fact that it is so much focus on you have to stop totally, and that's like a common conception, and to me is a little bit weird, making me a little bit to the verge of, I don't know, paranoid, conspiracy thinking. because cold turkey is so dominant, and like throwing a shadow over substitutes for nicotine, for example, nicotine chewing gums. So you have to question everything. You have to understand something as well. Many of the sources, especially nowadays on YouTube, if you search for stop smoking, many of the sources I've seen this myself use clickbaits. So I got to the point in some cases, I'm not going to mention any names, but it's some of the bigger names, most famous, very famous YouTubers, ironically famous for giving healthy advice. And I see they as well as they put money in front of health. Usually with solutions. When I say it's very cynical, it's so cynical, I don't understand it's legal. They give like, okay, you want to stop smoking, you search in YouTube and you find a bunch of different videos. And a bunch of these videos are not people who want to help you. They maybe don't even have the slightest idea what they're talking about. They just want to make you, maybe that's something, and visit their page. That's money in the bank for them. Maybe they have products they want to sell as a solution for the problem they might tell you will encounter. Many of those people are absolutely not interested in really helping you. So question everything. Remember, unfortunately, that it doesn't only go for YouTubers, it goes in much larger scale up in international industry levels. Money is more important than health. Maintaining, and that sounds a bit ironic for me, but maintaining is much more lucrative than a cure. That can make you ask questions within health. That can make you question everything. Just don't question too much, because then you will be a little bit crazy like me. So it's now I'm feeling I'm absolutely trying you to stop smoking by using nicotine substitutes, as if cold turkey is absolutely not possible. I'm not an enemy of cold turkey by far. But you remember, I'm trying to reach out to the people who I've tried cold turkey so many times. They have basically closed the whole stop smoking door. So I had to be creative and make a hole in a wall on the side. And that's a side door. And they closed the book, or they closed the chapter permanently. So I had to make a new chapter. Yeah, but you have to understand, there is a lot of, if you just watch 5 minutes of my psychological strategies, what I'm doing, I'm not doing this to entertain you. It's not very entertaining videos. I am trying as best I can to make my experience tools, which I did for myself during the process and basically when I was booking as well. So if you just take a chewing gum, you don't understand the psychology, then first of all you probably will just chew and chew and chew, and you will get a hiccup, which means I've said this before, but you have to use it as instructions. You don't have to rewatch my videos, past videos for that. You can fortunately just read the paper on a nicotine chewing gum. Do not think it's a normal chewing gum. If you get a hiccup, that's very annoying. It happens. I can just tell you right away, it's very intense. But if you drink pure water, it should take care of it right away. Don't drink anything with gas for hiccups from chewing gums. Now we're getting really specific. Pure water usually takes it like instantly, and that means you're chewing. Like I've understood, it means you're chewing too much. So chill out, just let it be there. Now the positive thing is when you realize it's no, you're stopping smoking the moment you put out your last cigarette, and when you start using chewing gum, I would definitely say the most difficult part is the moment of the bridge, walking over the bridge to chewing gums. But in the first moment you realize it's working, it's basically that moment after the last cigarette and before the first chewing gum. the insecurity. That's why I'm trying to tell you, don't use too much time preparing, but definitely enough. And when you realize where is the peak that I always hear about, it's actually non-existent. And that's what you have to do now is focus on it. Sounds very contra, but it's the way it's working. You have to focus on maintaining the rules. That is always in every scenario. You are used to having a cigarette. In every scenario, you ahead of the cigarette. Let's say you're used to having a cigarette at 1 o'clock every day in a special scenario. Then you associate 1 o'clock in that scenario with a time you usually smoke. So you're gonna be ahead of 1 o'clock, so that your body is fed with nicotine at 1 o'clock. You understand? You have to be ahead of the cigarette. You have to focus on, I hope it's the same word in English, everything you associate with smoking, have those chewing gums prepared and before time. Now, like I said, I usually always have like one or two in my mouth, like all day. The question is how much of that is psychological, because according to the instructions, they last so and so long, and sometimes it's just a feeling of having it, confusing it with actually working. But that's also positive in that case. But do not underestimate don't mess around with skipping nicotine chewing gums. This is something you don't just, it's like, for example, with antidepressants, or let's say you have a life-saving medicine of some sort that you need to take every day. Think of nicotine chewing gums. It's actually no exaggeration, because I don't know of any medications that don't have side effects that may not be as good for you. I don't know of any medications that don't have side effects. So it's I don't think it's on another planet to call nicotine chewing gum a life-saving medication. And yes, you probably know I'm talking much about chewing gums. I do not allow in my instructions. I don't know what kind of authority I have, but if you ask me, do not smoke e-cigarettes. I'm not only trying to make you stop smoking because it's not good for you, but I think first of all, I have a big opening for e-cigarettes being much more dangerous because it's relatively new. And if you go into YouTube and you search cigarette commercials from the 50s, or literally search tobacco commercial 50s, you will see crazy stuff. Doctors who cannot or will not start an efficient working day without a camel, or top up athletes. And yeah, that shit is real. So I'm not saying, and I don't think we're at the peak of knowledge in this era. I think in the future, many things will be that crazy when we look back. We have to think like that because you often hear we have to learn from the past. Like that's one thing. But when it comes to how did our ancestors do it, and it's always like something we need to learn again. I don't. I I honestly don't think this era we're living in is maybe an ancestor era. I'm sorry, I don't. Sounds very mean, but I don't. I don't know. Maybe just a little before, or just a little later. I just don't have that feeling right now. So, for example, maybe in the future we're having the biggest bet is some sort of problems with eyesight. People having some sort of problems with their need glasses because of all the telephone stuff and like laser stuff. I don't know. Okay, I'm not saying microwaves is a new thing, but like using laser for this, I don't know. It's probably many things. Not. I'm just trying to say, think for yourself, question everything. I sure as hell don't have answers for everything. If I did, I wouldn't question everything. I do like reflections about all other types of substitutes. The only, I've said this before, is spray, the nicotine spray. because I'm pretty sure it contains alcohol, and like I also said before, it may sound hysteric, but may mess with the mind of a person who is a recovering alcoholic. Same goes for mouthwash, for example, and that's a different category. About alcoholism, you have those patches you put on, and they're crazy expensive. It's one a day. That did not do anything for me for the physical part, and it also fell off. So that's definitely not functional when it falls off. You have those like mint like candy things. TikTok is the closest word I get in English, but in like a mint TikTok, they're working, but yeah, I would. I recommend, or my savior was nicotine chewing gums, 4 milligrams. Remember, was a big smoker, and so maybe 2 milligram is that again is a little bit, because when you stop smoking after 10 years, it's not really a big difference. And when you stop smoking after 12 years or after 20 years, not really. It's actually, in my opinion, uh, when you're addicted to nicotine, you're addicted to nicotine. And after that is not really, very controversial, a huge difference. How I experienced it. But because it's seen in a simple way, the body gets fast addicted to nicotine. The psychological thing is difficult to put, like, done for everybody, because everybody has individual minds. That's why I'm trying to be careful saying it's like that, it's like that, it's like that. I'm trying to help you reflect in you, and I am trying to give you more specific advice on the physical parts. 1 hour? Are you kidding me again? Okay, as a symbolic act, I'm gonna stop at 59:30, and yeah, thank you for watching. And I do recommend you watch everything, even though my videos are long. If you are in the preparing phase stage, okay, that's 59:41. You know, it's something. Maybe it's just like a meant to be thing. Okay, thank you for watching. 59:55.